Welcome down the rabbit hole, friends. Moroni Jessup is speaking out about his former church, the AUB. He's talking about Sisterwives, the Brown families, and other famous polygamous families who have appeared on television. Because you see, Moroni and his wives were one of the first families originally considered for the Sisterwives TV show. Moroni actually speaks out about filming with TLC and shows some clips which can actually be found on the TLC network as of right now. I believe they were filmed in like 1999 or 2000, something like that. Moroni claims that TLC had kind of come into the community and started working with a couple of different families doing reality documentaries, and essentially waited until they found a family they felt would be interesting enough to make a whole series about, and the Browns ended up being the winners. The most interesting part of all of it for me is listening to Moroni talk about how it seemed like TLC, the producers, were basically trying to set up scenarios within Moroni's family, making it look like they were courting a new wife when they really weren't. Asking somewhat uncomfortable questions among the wives, almost like stirring the pot a little bit to see if it could be interesting enough to put these people on TV. From Moroni's point of view, it showed him that reality TV was never going to be real. And he says basically, hey, look, let me tell you what I think went wrong with the Brown family. I'm sharing all of this in the upcoming video. Please check out Moroni's TikTok account. I've also been able to find him on Facebook, where he runs a polygamous Facebook group. It's just so interesting to listen to all of what he has to say about families we've been watching on TV for quite a long time. Thanks for joining me down this rabbit hole. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video.
This is part one of how my family was briefly considered for the part of the family of the TV show Sisterwives before the Brown family was considered. Let's jump back to 2006 when I was living polygamy. I had 2 wives at the time. Cody, on the other hand, had 4. My older brother was also a polygamist and was going through a nasty divorce case. One afternoon, we were ambushed by Mike Watkis, notorious reporter from Arizona Channel 3. But it made me realize something. Mormon polygamists hide in the shadows. They never come out, and that leaves their detractors free to say anything that they want to about them. And polygamists will say nothing, because they don't know better. Around this time, I was contacted by a producer interested in filming a show about me. I decided to say yes. Not a very popular decision among the polygamists, but something that I felt was necessary, because I realized that if I didn't speak up for myself, anyone else could make up whatever lie they wanted about me, and no one would know the wiser. Who better to dispel myths than an actual polygamist? So we made an arrangement with the producers for them to come into our home to film 1 episode over the course of a few days. The show would later be aired on TLC. We met with the producers, and they were the same producers that had produced Bill Maher's Religulous, a fairly anti-religious movie. The immersive journalist who would visit our home was a British talk show host named Dawn Porter. She had done several controversial programs in the UK, and she later married Chris O'Dowd, a B-list actor who is known for Bridesmaids. So we started to clean our home and get ready to have journalists come into our home for 3 days to film a TV show centered around us doing polygamy. Part 2 of how my family almost became the family in the TV show Sisterwives. So we had invited a TV crew into our home. Dawn Porter, a British TV presenter, and there was a small American crew. A sound guy, a cameraman, and a producer pictured here, plus 2 other producers, one of them a guy named Charlie Cisco. And I was sort of told right off the bat that this whole experience was going to serve as an audition of sorts to see if my family would merit a TV show of our own. Now, we lived off-grid in a double-wide trailer out in the middle of the desert, and they basically informed us that if we were to receive our own TV show, we would have to actually move into a house in town. So the sound guy, a guy named Sandy, a giant of a man and just a really good guy. When we were waiting to set up the first camera shot, he was standing next to me, and he kind of leaned over and says to me, "You're not really what I thought." I said, "Why? What were you expecting?" And he said, "I don't know, something a little more austere. Harry Dean Stanton, maybe?" So over the course of the next 2 days, they filmed a segment with Dawn Porter, pretending to be a woman interested in polygamy. I'll show you a brief clip from YouTube. You have to understand, we laid the ground rules right at the first. We told them we weren't going to talk about sex. So guess what they wanted to talk about? So when you see me chuckle at her question, that's what I'm chuckling about, that she was going there anyway.
Why Moroni would like this lifestyle. What man wouldn't? Double the cooks, double the housework, double the action. But just how does the sharing work? In the bedroom, I mean. So who is it who decides who gets to sleep with Moroni each night? Moroni, yeah. It is up to you.
Yeah, it's up to me. I generally try to be fair and equitable, but it's ultimately me who decides where I go and where I stay.
And how does it usually work? Do you bed hop, or do you, every now and then, you're always in the same bed? No.
Right, I go from room to room.
So you two have got your own bedrooms, and you go between bedrooms?
So part 3 about how we almost got our own TV show. So we were doing a 3-day TV shoot with British presenter Dawn Porter. And we noticed right away that she kept trying to trip us up. One of my wives caught on to this, and when Dawn couldn't trip her up, she told my wife, "Wow, you're good." Me, on the other hand, of course I said a few dumb things. And guess what they clued in on and made their centerpiece? After spending 3 days with us, they informed us that we probably weren't the family that they were looking for their TV show. They told us, and I quote, that we were too basic. Meaning that aside from polygamy, there really wasn't that much that was interesting about our family. 2 days after they left our house, in April 2008, the raid took place at the YFZ Ranch in Texas. I'm not going to lie, I was pretty afraid. I felt like I had just put crosshairs on me and my entire family during a time that was not very good for polygamists in the media. Later that year, the TV show came out on TLC, and our suspicions were correct. It was basically a hatchet job. I learned something about reality TV, as it is called. Dramatic pauses where there are none, lingering on micro-expressions, mixing and matching different questions and answers so that they are out of order. The good thing was, they forgot to put in my contract that I wasn't supposed to blog about the whole experience. So this is why I started my blog, to record the TV experience and to show how fake it was. For instance, in the TV show, it shows Dawn Porter sleeping on our couch for the night. She got into the covers on camera and then packed her stuff up and went to stay at a hotel. That's the reality of reality TV. Afterwards, my family appeared on History Channel, and they treated us much better. We also did a segment for M4, French TV, and that crew treated us like family and was super respectful. But I felt at that point that I had said all I could through the medium of TV because I was being redundant. I wound up doing public radio interviews on MP.
Okay, so if you sort through all of Moroni's videos on TikTok and a lot of the other interesting interviews and stuff I've listened to with him, basically it turns out that Moroni ended up supporting and being part of helping produce the documentary Under the Banner of Heaven, along with some other polygamous families like the Darger family, who are also friends with the Sisterwives and the Browns. It's just so crazy how interconnected everyone is, and I will share more of those videos in the future as well. Now I'm just going to share a quick clip of Moroni talking about his personal opinion as to why things did not work out with Cody and his wives. I find it very interesting.
So what really ruined the Brown family on Sisterwives? That's a huge question, but I'll take a stab at my own opinion on that. The first, obviously, was that they did the TV show to begin with. I think that the money, I think that fame, all of those things were detrimental to the family. And I'm willing to bet that if they had not done the TV show, that they would still be together. The next was obviously favoring one wife over the others. That's a huge no-no in polygamy. Not being equitable and placing one wife over the other is a huge no-no in our culture. We call it the queen bee syndrome, and that family definitely has a queen bee. Next, you don't extol the virtues of one wife while denigrating the qualities of other wives. You just don't do that. As a polygamous man, you may be married to more than one woman, but she has to feel like she has your confidence, that she can tell you things about herself and that you won't go blabbing them to the other wives. The next thing, he wants respect, but he doesn't want love. What marriage anywhere, monogamous or polygamous, is going to work without love? And I think that the other wives were willing to accept Cody with all of his faults if he had just given them a little attention, a little time, and a little love. It wouldn't have taken much to put a little effort in to keep his family together. Cody is an example to me, an example of how not to live polygamy. In truth, the whole thing makes me really sad.
Okay, there's one other clip. I think I heard it in an interview, but it might be on his TikTok. I'll have to find it later for you guys, but it is just so on point. Basically, Moroni talks about how his thoughts are that over the past 10 years, Cody has basically decided that he doesn't want to be a polygamist anymore, that he's interested in only having one wife. As they started to make money and he started to settle in to a very close relationship with Robin and kind of excluding the other wives in the family, he started to realize he really didn't want to be a polygamist anymore. But Moroni says, our church makes it very difficult for a man to actually leave that situation, and obviously it would have been 10 times harder for Cody to leave it. So Moroni just kind of goes down this rabbit hole of look, I think he just basically started doing things hoping that the wives would eventually leave him. That is so interesting for me to think about. Yeah, I think that might have been what was going on. He wanted them to go. He didn't want to be the one to pull the trigger. And so, he continued to do things that they weren't happy with until basically it made them angry enough to leave, right? So I'll be speaking more about that in further videos. If you guys don't know, I've been alone with my kids for several weeks now. My husband's out on assignment and I am exhausted. You guys, I'm so tired. So I'm heading off to bed. I don't know when I'll be able to put out another video, but I wanted to make sure I got these two out about Moroni this weekend. I hope you enjoy them and have a great rest of the weekend.